Welcome to SEAT Expo 2026. We are Autocar Professional. My name is Prerna Lidhoo and I am joined by Mr. Pierpaolo, who is here representing Dumarey. Sir, tell me something. It's such an interesting time in the industry. We're looking at multiplicity of powertrains, how free trade agreements are changing, how countries trade with each other, a new world order probably. Let's start with just that. The big news of the day is that India and EU has signed a free trade agreement. We're yet to receive the the fine print. But what are your initial thoughts on it? Do you think that companies like you will sort of benefit, and even Indian exports will sort of benefit from this?
Yeah, I believe that was the perfect day or the perfect week to be here in India with this free trade agreement, because I really believe that this is a win-win opportunity for India and for Europe. Also because today we are challenged from one side from America, from the other side from China, and we are exactly in the middle.
Yeah.
Now having this kind of agreement, this will allow the suppliers from India that are also very, very competitive to supply Europe, and in Europe now leverage this kind of opportunity.
Yeah.
From the other side, we have a very good technology in Europe that we could export to India, and then allow, for example, Indian market to reach those new targets that, for example, about stage 7, that is the new one that is coming, really to be more competitive with the new products that have this kind of technology. So at the end, it's a win-win, and I believe that I'm looking really forward to have this free trade agreement implemented very, very quickly.
Yeah.
It will take a little bit of time, but we came.
Yeah, but you see that both imports and exports are sort of,
yes.
At
the end, if you want really to be successful, this needs to be a win-win.
Right.
And I believe that is a win-win. And I am really happy that Europe finally was able really to reach this agreement, despite of all the geopolitical issues and situation that we have.
Yeah.
And so, good. Modi did a good job. Euro did a good job. Let's see it in favor of us that are developing and producing.
Yeah, as we call it the VUCA world now, so everyone is diversifying, and you are heavily invested in diesel engines as well. We hear of cleaner diesel making a comeback globally. Here in India as well, in certain segments, it's the consumer's favorite, and companies keep on investing, and it's not going down anytime soon at the rate we were expecting it to be. What is your expectation of diesel, cleaner diesel making a comeback, and how do you see that developing globally, especially in Europe?
I can tell you that we had a lot of discussion during the last 5 years, because at a certain point in time, especially in Europe, but also in North America, we had the trend, the political trend, I would say, that diesel and internal combustion engine will disappear in favor of electrical vehicles.
Yeah.
But this kind of business model was not sustainable, simply because the customer were not buying this model.
Yeah.
This model was not really at all affordable by the customers. Then finally, the world started to understand that you cannot just leverage on electrical vehicles. Electrical vehicles are coming, are growing, because there are segments in which electrical vehicle is really affordable.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things. If I think about Europe, city cars, so small cars, can really use electrical vehicle. As sense, these are small urban cycle, basic. Here in, for example, in India, you can imagine two-wheeler, three-wheeler, this small vehicle again has a lot of sense, because you can even recharge at home. Imagine the two-wheeler, three-wheeler, you take the battery and you bring. Even if you don't have the infrastructure ready. Then when you come back to instead trucks, commercial vehicles, buses. Okay, a good diesel, a good hybrid diesel has a lot of sense, because it's still sustainable. You can still leverage the existing production. Don't forget that in Europe, in India, there is a huge production of this engine.
Correct.
And you need to support those OEMs and those suppliers that are production part to continue with the clean diesel. A clean diesel can be reached in two ways. First of all, using biofuel, and so leveraging this kind of new way of supplying the diesel with the clean fuel. And from the other end, combining it with hybrids.
Yeah.
So with the electrification of the existing engines. So this is the new frontier that started in Europe, and I believe also we take over also here in India. Always leverage the cost, because at the end the cost is very important, especially for countries like India, where we need really to keep an eye on the cost. Then another trend is globally is the use of EREV. So means to use the electric platform that have been developed by the OEM at the time in which they were thinking that there will be just electrical vehicles, in order to eliminate the anxiety of the range. So with the EREV you can really use that architecture, but with an internal combustion engine, very small, gasoline, that could really fulfill this kind of requirement.
Range extenders as well. Yeah.
Range extender is really a way in which you can transition between a pure internal combustion engine to an electric architecture where you can make smaller batteries and have a larger range with the EREV. This is another way in which we can attack. So there is not one solution that fits all, but there are several combinations based on the country, based on the sector, and based also on the customer, because customer came first, really.
Yeah, so that's a great point that hybrid diesel is sort of a future that we could look at. I get a sense that hydrogen again is something that makes sense for a lot of heavy duty vehicles.
Yes. This is one example. We started probably 5 years ago really to take diesel and introduce the hydrogenation of the diesel. So bringing hydrogen as a fuel in order to burn into the diesel. Why to do this? Because this engine at the end is completely clean. It's clean, especially cannot be used in all the kind of application. A small vehicle will never use an hydrogen engine because it will be too expensive. But when you think about commercial vehicle trucks, this has a lot of sense. Also because today most of the hydrogen is derived from the CNG. Especially in India, we have a large use of CNG everywhere. So CNG is the other fuel that we are using in India, and we can derive hydrogen directly from the CNG. For sure, the target is not to have the gray hydrogen, so derived from CNG, but to have the green hydrogen that is derived from renewable sources like solar, like wind, and this kind of stuff. But we need to create the market, and in order to create the market, really the CNG is really the starting point.
Right.
Then you have a lot of steel factories where you are producing steel that are using hydrogen, and then the hydrogen is available. I believe that India is a very good market really to start with hydrogen, much more than Europe, because you already started with the infrastructure, we started really pushing for this, and I believe this is really great.
Makes sense. Just leave us with one key trend, because you have spent enough time in India, you've had so many partnerships here. One key trend that will define 2026 for you in India.
For me, the trend is really to continue with our partnership with Oriba, because in order to be in India, you need to leverage a local partnership. Because it's a matter of culture, it's a matter of customer, it's a matter really to know locally the business. And Oriba for me is really providing this kind of partnership and understanding of the market of the customer. So for sure in 2026 we'll continue with the partnership. At the same time, we are now using the time that we are here in order to know better our customer and our suppliers, and start developing software and controls, because software and
localize
control,
more.
Yes, localize more, and also bring development here. And then of course developing complex system. I am not here in India just to develop a small part, a component, but really a complex system. Because then it's bringing added value to India, but also to our group that is coming from Europe.
So you want to have more skin in the game.
Exactly.
And that will sort of impact a lot more.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for speaking to us.
It was
Lovely
a
having you
pleasure.
on the show.
Thank you.